Hello. So this is one of those wasn't expecting to do a reading, apparently has to do a reading days. You can see all the decks that I'm planning on using here. I'm getting something where somebody's in some kind of situation where they're having to choose something. Now, you're going to see a lot of this over the next week or so, but it's coming through with two kind of scenarios from films. So one of them being Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, I want to say. It's the one where he goes into the temple and he meets the old knight and he's like, you have chosen wisely. And he has to go in and choose, and there's all these like treasures around, and you have to go for the one that he was looking for the Holy Grail, right? So people choose like the big ornate ones, and it's like they chose wrong. It's like the simple one. So I'm also getting something with The Wizard of Oz. Now you'll see that in Cappy's reading that goes up today. It's Return to Oz and TikTok. And I was thinking about how they go into the treasure room at the end and they have to choose. Dorothy has to go in and find her friends, and if they touch the wrong thing, they turn into an object themselves. So turn into an object themselves. That's interesting, isn't it? So maybe it's something about being objectified. Like if this is people choosing the wrong people and becoming objectified, there could be something with that. I'm also getting through stuff like King Lear, where he's like making his daughters pronounce their undying love for him in order to win a share of his kingdom. And also the movie Stardust, where the old king is making his sons fight for to see who's like next in the succession. There's something about like succession as well. It's even playing out in real life for me, because my nana's very poorly and she's gone into a care home. So my dad and my auntie are kind of selling her house. So all her possessions are kind of getting either sold or given to family to be kept safe. And my dad said to me, what do you want? And I was like, and I know there's probably a few valuable things in a house. You can hear a funny story about that in one of the readings next week. But I was saying, I just want things to remember her by. So in her house, this all comes out in Taurus's reading next week, by the way. But just to kind of briefly say, so there was a cat picture that hung on the wall of her kitchen, and I just remembered liking it as a kid. You know, it had a cat on it. I was like, I'll have the cat picture because it's so like an iconic piece of Nana's home. And then once she kind of, I was really sick and upset, and when you're a kid and you're just being kind of tantrumy, and I was poorly and tantrumy, and I didn't want to eat anything, and she made me mashed egg, like scrambled egg in this egg cup. So I said, can I have the egg cup, because that's got a memory attached to it. And then I said, I just want something from Africa. I want something from Nigeria, because my grandpa worked in Nigeria for a long time and they got on very well with the people. So when they left, they were given a lot of gifts. So you can see here, again, she comes and says hi in Taurus's reading. My dad popped round with that. So I've got this, I want to say Adia. So I think she's one of the wives of the Oba from Nigerian history. It's like from Benin. So I don't think she's from Benin. I think she's much more modern than that. I think she's just a in that style, right? So yeah, so she's here with me now, just because that's such an important part for me of my family history. And that my nana and my dad grew up there, and my grandpa lived there. So I kind of really wanted something that reflected that time that they spent there, and their memories of the place. So the things that I was choosing were all based on my memories of Nana and what I want and how I want to remember her. And I didn't pick anything in terms of like I want something that costs a lot of money. It's never my motivation. So there's something again to do with like inheritance, ancestry, and this kind of thing, to the point where this morning I woke up after having a dream where my dad said, I'm disinheriting you, your children are still going to get money, but you'll cut out the will. And I was like, I woke up like, ow, Dad, did I choose badly? Did I choose poorly? But anyway, it's this running theme that seems to keep coming up in different readings. So I feel like if it's playing out for me, it's probably playing out for multiple other people. So we're going to have a look and see what we get. So I'm just going to move the Spirit Animal Oracle over to one side because we're going to use that to clarify at the end. My Idia is I'm trying to read the energy from her, and she's got this energy of protection, like she wants to protect, and also like gratitude, friendship, and something else. Like it's like you know, when you protect somebody and they protect you in return. She's got that kind of energy coming from it at the moment. So we'll see. I don't kind of want to make light of anything. If anyone is from Nigeria, I don't kind of want to disrespect anyone here. But, you know, she's kind of part of my family history. So I kind of want to see what I can get from her and incorporate her into my life and my practices, you know, rather than kind of trying to usurp anything. That's not what I'm trying to do here at all. Just to kind of make that clear if anyone was questioning that. So let's see, what do we have here? What is trying to come through? What advice do you have for anyone who's in this kind of situation where it's like division of the assets or, you know, inheritance, who gets what? If anyone's in this kind of situation, I feel like there's a trick to it. That's quite a few. How many cards do I have there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's run through. We've got the Divine Physician, that's like Jesus, right? Hilarium, which is to do with accessing family records and history. The King of Keys, so this is somebody in your life who can open doors for you. The Bird's Nest obviously talks about home and family, and the Journey. All right, let's keep them. Let's keep them and see where this goes. What else do we have, please? What do we have from this deck? Yeah, they're very chatty, aren't they, the decks today? Time to Go, Regeneration, Building Blocks, Chaos and Conflict. Okay, let's keep going. What else do I have from this deck? That's definitely too many. I'm not taking half the deck. What do we have from this deck, please? Can you try and be a bit more succinct? Because I don't have that ability, so I need you guys to guide me. Someone's stuck in the Ghostlands. It's kind of like caught in between. Can't move back, can't move forward, can't choose. Rescue, slow and steady. The Bone Collector on the underline there. Love that. Love that image. She was a little bit scary when I first saw her. I was like, oh my goodness, what does this mean? But she does mean kind of having a time and place and learning lessons from the past and things like this. So what else, please? Anything else, please? Anything else? Atoms. Again, building. You've got building twice, building blocks and building atoms. Anything from this deck, please? Anything from this deck, please, for this reading? Thank you. I feel like I need to go again. I have so many cards. Okay, thank you. Temptation. Temptation. Higher and higher. So 9 of Fire, that's the 9 of Wands. 7 of Pentacles, the Moon. 8 of Air and 7 of Air. Okay, somebody's definitely feeling very, very stuck with the Ghostlands and the 8 of Air there. Anything from this deck, please? Anything from this deck? Okay. Balance on the underlying. And you've got Pleasure and Fruition. All right, so what I'm going to do is just going to gather everything up like this. Try and mix it up a little bit already. I'm going to kind of reshuffle them, and as they come out, we're going to know how they want to be. Slow and steady, Ghostlands. Yeah, so somebody's moving. There is a timing factor. It is kind of like slow and steady wins the race, so take your time. Don't let anyone force you into making a decision. Time to go. Time to go, but do it in a slow and steady fashion, I feel. It's like the King of Keys. So there is going to be a door that's unlocked. So if you feel stuck, like you can't take any route at the moment, I feel like there's going to be somebody in your life who can unlock a door for you. There's somebody who can offer a path or an opportunity. There could be some illusion or fear around this. yeah, definitely illusional fear of, and deception here. So I feel like it could be a fear of deception, a fear of being deceived in some sort of way. It may not necessarily, it may be an illusion, the fear may be an illusion. It may not necessarily be something that's actively happening. It may just be a concern. Building blocks and regeneration. So there is something that's kind of, it could be like a project or something that's coming back to life, something that's regenerating, something that's kind of becoming new again. I know that in Cappy's reading they had Would Roses Bloom by Billie Eilish. If our grave was watered by the rain, would roses bloom? Chaos and conflict. What else, please? So there is some kind of change, but I feel like the change is almost breaking. It's almost this energy of like breaking something apart in order to rebuild it. You can see this on both of these cards. So it's like breaking something down to its core elements, right, in order to put it back together again. A bit like if you built something out of Lego and you realize you've done it all wrong, and then you have to like break it all down again and then rebuild it from bottom up. So it's like a tower moment comes into, there's no tower here, but it's like maybe a tower moment's happened where things have been broken apart, and it's time to kind of put things back together, but in a more sensible way. It's like if you were ever trying to build something out of Lego and you rushed, right? You were like, I've only got so much time to do this, let's do it really quickly. You're not really paying attention to the details of the instructions, and that's when you like miss a piece out here, or you do something wrong there and you're left with missing pieces at the end, and you think, well, it doesn't look right, it doesn't function how it's meant to function. It's like you could make do with that, but you're never going to be really fully satisfied with that. So the only thing to do is to pull it all apart, slow down, take your time, and start again. So yeah, with this card here, this Chaos and Conflict card, you can see that the depiction on this card is there's a zebra underneath, but this zebra has been painted as a giraffe. So it's like somebody's been trying to play a certain role in their life that isn't suitable for them. It's like, you know, as much as that zebra may pretend to be a giraffe, you know, it doesn't have the long neck. It can't really do the things that a giraffe can do. So it's always going to fail because it's always trying to do something that's not naturally the right fit for it. So there is this part of this breaking apart energy, this knowledge that something needs to fail, something needs to fall apart, something needs to be broken down. It could be a person who almost needs to be broken down in order to be rebuilt. Kind of makes me feel of like the army. You know, they say that about the army, don't they? You have to, or the SAS. It's like you break them and remake them. Now, I don't really necessarily like that. I don't necessarily like that attitude. I watch these kind of SAS programs and I think I wouldn't last a day. I'd just rebel, or like I'd just get annoyed with them and get kicked out. You know, I wouldn't. That kind of like the way that they're so disrespectful to people and they shout at them, and to me it's like grooming almost. It's almost like if that was happening in a relationship, if somebody was screaming at you and criticizing you constantly and telling you that you're worthless and you know, get up, do this thing, your body's screaming and it wants to stop doing the thing, but you keep doing it anyway because that's how you become a man. You know, there's something really gross and toxic about that, in my opinion. You know, and I'm not judging anyone who's in the army or anyone who that works for. Like, some people, that's what they need, right? They need the discipline, they need that kind of tough love. It works for them, it's what they're comfortable with. Other people it doesn't work for. It's not like every single mold, and again, talking about this, it's not like every single mold will fit every single person. I talk about this with the school system a lot as well. You know, children are very diverse, and you can have a prescribed education system, but there's going to be people who don't fit in with that. It's kind of like square pegs in round holes kind of thing, right? It's just as much as you try and fit, you're not that shape. So there has to be other alternatives, there has to be other routes. Again, this is kind of like this ghost land of taking different routes, where my crown chakra is playing up. I'm getting a bit of a stabbing pain in the right side of my head, where you You have to have different routes. You have to have different alternatives for people, because not everybody's going to fit. And you can even look at things like, you know, during the war, when the war, because there was only one, right? There's not that one war that we all remember. But during, it was World War One and World War Two, I think, there was conscientious objectors. I think there was there a very famous writer or poet who was a conscientious objector. And these people were really looked down on. People really hated these people, and, you know, they were locked away in prison and stuff like this. And, you know, I think, you know, you should be allowed to be a conscientious objector without being vilified, because not everybody is meant to have a gun in their hands. Not everybody is meant to go to war. You know, it's not. Some people want a different route. So this card often talks to me of these two cards together, as in particular talk about needing to take a different route. It's like you're being shown certain options, but you know that those options are not right for you. So you stand there in indecision, unable to make a choice, wanting to kind of run away. So it's saying to me, there's this need to move. Somebody is in a position here at the start of this reading where they know they need to move. They need to change direction. They need to make a different choice, or a choice. But there's this real need to be slow and careful about the choice that they make, because they don't know what's going to happen when they go through one of those doors. So they know that they have to move. They know that there's time to go. But there's this fear, there's this like frozen element of, well, which way do I run? Which way do I turn? What is right for me? Which is why slow and steady is here, because this is not a decision that can be rushed. If I jump ahead here, what I'm seeing here is this person who's in this, it almost feels like flight or fight, right? It's almost like oh, fight, flight, flee. They're telling me fight, flight, flee, which flee and flight are kind of similar, but maybe they're confirming flee. It's maybe somebody had a father like this. Maybe somebody had a father who was in the military, right? So that's what they knew. They knew this regimen of I was given the word regimen then. That's why it kind of came out as, because it's not a word I normally use. My head again. Ow, the pain inside my head. So it's almost like, is your bed made? Are your shoes polished? Have you brushed your teeth? Like, right, you've not done these things, so you're going to be punished. You know, very kind of almost like toxic patriarchal, possibly. It's like you're never going to be good enough in that person's eyes because, ow, my head. You're never going to be good enough in that person's eyes because they're built using, it's like they're built using different blocks entirely. They're built using a different Lego set. You know, it's a different brand. They're telling me knockoff brand. You know, the building blocks of that person are almost entirely different to your building blocks. So I want to say that I've really getting a headache here, by the way. You've been almost tried to, it's almost like you've built a structure out of Lego, and then you've used these building blocks from like the knockoff Lego set to kind of, you know, to build something around it to make it look like it's pleasing to this person who I feel is very judgmental, very critical, very you have to fit my mold. So it's almost like you've been doing your own thing underneath, but the surface level is this false. So almost like it's almost the opposite of a false foundation. It's almost like your foundation's solid, but you've been putting this mask on it, or this veneer on your life, I want to say, or on your appearance, or on the way that you present, especially to this person, because you want to fit into what they say is what a good person should look like. And it's not that I want to say that their mold is toxic, right? Their mold is inferior to what you've been doing. It could talk about something like with ancestry, with parents and grandparents, you know, they're of a different generation, and what worked for them doesn't work for us now. And you can look at things that change over time. Again, like attitudes to war and conscientious objectors, a lot of the time these things are re-looked at when they're in that melting pot of that time period. You know, things can look really, really bad because of whatever spin is publicly accepted at that time. But as public opinion changes, people look back on things from the past with different eyes and say, well, that's actually, we've got a different spin on that now. We can see this from a different angle. So it's the same thing with generations. You know, what worked for our parents or grandparents' generation may not work for our generation. And indeed, I know that my daughter and her generation are almost more open and more free and more accepting than my own generation was at that time. So I can definitely see this progress being made and changes being made for the good. You know, there's things that I find myself tripping up on and things that I say and I think that's not really something I should say anymore, you know, and I'm aware of it. But can you imagine what that must be like for a grandfather who's like, everything must feel so different to them and actually scary because it threatens their values. So yeah, so I want to say there's nothing wrong with this the younger person in this situation. They're exactly right, I want to say, for their generation. They're exactly the sort of person that they're supposed to be. But the covering is trying to please this almost older influence who while their system may have worked in the time that they were growing up and developing, especially in teenage years, because the teenage years are so fundamental to who you're going to be for the rest of your life. So if somebody as like a teenager or a young, I want to say man, you know, the mold that was created for them was perhaps very military. You know, it worked for them at the time. It made them fit in with society. It made them feel like they had a place, a role to play, that they were useful. And this younger person who's growing up in a very, very different time, you know, they're in a time where things are much more liberal, you know, and people have a lot of choice. So it's almost like those two, there's something about the two different environments and what's right for different environments, right? There's nothing wrong with a square peg, there's nothing wrong with a circular peg, but they're not going to fit if you put them in the different scenario, right? It's going to be like, you don't fit in here. Well, no, they don't, they fit in perfectly over here. So there's a regeneration of somebody's identity and the way that they present themselves to the world. But again, there's this fear and confusion here in the middle of this. So I do feel like it's somebody who holds the keys to something. Again, it could be somebody who's in control of an inheritance or will or something where it's like this. It's almost like controlling. It's like somebody who controls somebody else with money. It's like, you have to play this role in society or I'm cutting you out of the will. You know, you're not going to have any funds. We're not going to support you anymore. You're going to be on your own. You're not going to survive out there on your own. You don't know how. You're too weak. I'm sorry. This is not my feelings or opinions. This is me channeling the energy of the different characters in this reading. I don't like that energy. I really do not like them, quite frankly. Whoever that person is, I'm sorry. I don't really like them. I'm being quite sympathetic because I can feel it from their point of view of this kind of like, it's comforting to me to play a certain role in society. I feel like I fit in here. So I want my child, my son, my grandson to also fit in with society. And I know how to fit in with society because I've done it myself. But they were fitting in with a different society, right? I want to say it's like well-intentioned, but at the same time it's toxic and they are definitely trying to control somebody with money or access to something. So here's fear and illusion and here's deception. I feel like the mask is coming off here. It's like you can only, it's like almost like it's being broken away. You cannot, those pieces were never meant to fit together. If I go back to the analogy of the Lego building with the false Lego on the top, it's like those pieces never really fit on properly anyway. So they were bound to fall off. What else, please? What else, please? Again, with this king in the castle business, came through for Kathy last week as well. Oh, suddenly felt really, really sick all of a sudden. Okay. Harvest, moon, fruition, and pleasure. I'm hearing fruits of your labours. Enjoying the fruits of your labours. So something's coming to completion, something's coming to fruition. And this card here looks very, very free. The journey. Yeah, somebody's taking, it's like a journey of pleasure or something. Somebody's, I feel like somebody's allowing what was within to come to be without. And they're finding a lot of abundance and pleasure in this journey of, I'm hearing experimenting, of being free to taste a lot of the forbidden fruits perhaps that they were not allowed to eat from in this previous situation. But you can also see here with this tree, this regeneration card, it's like almost like that land was dead, but it's actually mushrooms. Okay, I had such a huge craving for mushrooms this morning, so I went out to the shop specifically to buy a punnet of mushrooms, and it was so yummy, so satisfying. It was exactly what I needed. So just mushrooms on toast with soy sauce. It was so good. But there's if you want to look into there's like a mushroom expert. He's amazing. He did a TED talk. I'm like fully like obsessed. I'm not talking about magic mushrooms or what is it, psilocybin or anything like that. You know, you do you. I'm not judging. I'm talking about like actual just mushrooms and fungus in general, and how beneficial it can be to so many different things. So an experiment that this man did was with his kind of team of people researching mushrooms. There was a science project where there was all this dead land. I think there was like oil spill or something, or there was something really toxic about the land, right? It was like it couldn't be used to grow anything. And they sectioned off pieces of this land and opened it up to a lot of different scientists and said, everybody come in and experiment and see who can regenerate this land. And this guy with his team of mushroom experts, they came in with a specific fungus, and it was kind of like a mycelium, you know, like the root system that goes in the soil, and they put this mycelium, I think it was, into this toxic earth, and it there's something about the mushrooms and how they remove toxins, and so their plot of land was the most successful. It actually took all these toxins out of the land, and that land was like not entirely 100% usable again, but it was like 95% now or something like that. You'll have to go and find the TED talk if you're interested in more on that. Just mushroom guy TED talk, fungus guy TED talk, something like that. It'll probably come up. So yeah, it's that kind of thing. It's like, it's almost like something's planted, like a seed's been planted in this land that was dead. You know, this ghost land, this frozen landscape. It's like nothing can grow here. It's completely useless. Maybe someone said that to you. You're completely useless. I know my dad kind of has that attitude towards me. Bless him. Bless his cotton socks. And I am. Can relate. So yeah, it's like but a seed's been planted, an idea, project is something that this person's done, and I feel like it comes from an authentic place, right? A seed that was planted by this younger person, that's true to them, and it could be something inside them, the seed of an idea, the seed of recognition of who they really are. It could be literally a seed that they've planted. It could be a project, an investment that they've made, something that they've done, and it's regenerating something that was dead before, something that couldn't be used, something that was useless and worthless. So it's about somebody who has the ability to see worth in something that everybody else would discard, right? Sort of like the tramp on the street who picks up the cans and gets money from the cans, but it's I want to say it's something that's very, very profitable. It's like something that everybody else has overlooked, right? So again, going back into that room, because this is what they're showing me, going back into that room of like Indiana Jones in looking at all the chalices, or Dorothy looking at all the different knickknacks, objects, and being able to find her friends in there. You know, it's recognizing the worth in things that other people may not know how to find the worth in. So now they're showing me like Bargain Hunt. My mum's obsessed with Bargain Hunt. Yeah, Bargain Hunt, which is like an antique, or Antiques Roadshow, that might be more familiar to more people, where it's like the value of an object. So there's something somebody's recognised or seen an opportunity in something that everybody else has discarded, but it's going to be hugely, hugely profitable and abundant. It's like, oh yeah, I'll take all that burnt land, I'll take all that dead land, I'll stick a load of mycelium on there, and I'm going to grow some avocados, you know, something that's worth a lot of money. There's definitely something, somebody's had a really good idea. It's a journey for them, but it's very pleasurable. They're enjoying this process of whatever it is that they're doing. Hilarium next then. Yeah, so this is actually impressing your ancestors, I want to say. This is Hilarium. It's tapping into the Akashic records. And I'm going to read this for you just because it's so on topic to what I'm kind of talking about here. Number 5. So if somebody's been feeling very, very stuck and they haven't known which direction to go in and they felt like everything was blocked from them, somehow it's like almost like the universe kept you in that ghost land, in that frozen place, that place where nothing could grow, so that you could see it was like because you were the one who was stuck there, you had more time to think. And because you had more time to think, you spotted this opportunity that nobody else spotted, I want to say. Again, it came through in Cappy's reading with this like snowdrop growing in the frozen landscape. So now they're telling me about how the Sahara Desert, I believe, used to be a rainforest, but because like people chopped it down and stuff, it's now a desert. It's like there used to be water there, there used to be a rainforest, I believe. And so there's a man, I think he's doing kind of like a bit of a one-man project. I don't know if other people have joined him at this point because it was a few years ago that I heard about it, but he was doing this project where he was almost like planting a pathway of trees right across the from like east to west across the Sahara Desert. So it was almost like a channel of trees, and I think it was like a special kind of tree that could grow really, really well in kind of arid conditions. But what was the plan was like it was going to make a corridor for bees, and so when you get that corridor for bees and these specific trees that could be planted in a very arid landscape, like cacti, right? But they they actually almost like transformed the terrain around it, and made it easier for the terrain to like hold water or something like that. So really, really clever. And basically the idea was like he was trying to bring back vegetation to this very arid landscape. So I feel like there could be something happening here that's very, very similar, but it's a snowy landscape, right? It's like it's a tundra, it's an icy place. So it's like, how could anything possibly grow here? And you're like, but it does. Some things do grow here. So if we can get more of that thing that grows, we can transform the icy landscape. Now, it could be talking metaphorically about the icy landscape between you and perhaps your ancestors or somebody in your family, right? Everything got very frosty, but there's something that can be transformed here, but you have to find the right thing to plant. Hilarium. Seen here with spirit and the implements of study and scientific discovery, Hilarion is a powerful ascended master and a wonderful connection to the font of information that the Akashic records hold. He is the master of research, science, truth, healing, logical mind, concrete knowledge, and spirit communication. So if you've been thinking about pursuing an endeavour in these areas, now is the time to start. Like the angels and other masters, Hilarion is always available to you. And receiving this card upright is telling you that his assistance is close at hand. If you are working on a project that requires research, strong academic approach, and attention to detail, slow and steady, right? You need to use those Lego, that Lego leaflet, the instruction manual. You need to go step by step here. You don't want to miss a block and then have to go back and unbuild everything just to put that one missing piece back in. Attention to detail. It's time to open to this master's energy if you have a job that involves any type of evidence detection and drawing conclusions from that discovery. These type of jobs include scientific research. Funny, I was talking about this mushroom guy, right? Mediumship, forensic activity, the law, medical testing, and more. These and similar activities should be on the rise for you now. This is the time to bring a logical approach to all your pursuits. Hilarion is right there with you, blessing you with help, clarity, and clarification. Okie dokie. So, what next then, please? It may be that you actually have to go back to somebody that you could have frozen out of your life, like an older, like a grandfather or a father figure, that you've had a very frosty relationship that you've turned your back on because they didn't understand you. But it's like, actually now that maybe they have got some kind of missing piece of your puzzle. They've got something that you can, that you need. They've got some kind of knowledge that you need to apply to the thing that you're doing now. It's almost like you have to go back and I'm hearing tail between your legs and say, oh, actually, you know, can you help me with this? I almost feel like they're going to be really pleased to, because I feel like that's the kind of person they are. Like they want to be seen as having knowledge and, you know, the key to unlock things. They want to be seen as being, you know, the person that other people go to. So it's almost like it's actually going to flatter their ego a little bit, possibly. Right, let's keep going. The divine physician. So there is something healing happening here. Could definitely be something to do with medicine. Somebody could be perhaps learning about medicine, going into medicine, looking at alternative medicine perhaps. But the divine physician, ultimately they heal the heart, right? This is somebody who heals the emotions and soul of somebody. What else, please? After somebody's been in this wounded warrior energy. So this is the cave. This is somebody who's inside the cave. And they're actually really focused on their hopes and dreams and wishes. And this is what's getting them through. So it could be coming out of a period of depression or a period of your life where there's been a lot of struggles. You know, you feel like the wounded warrior. You've had to, it's almost like you've been feeling a bit like you've been fighting a losing battle for quite a long time, where it's almost like all you could do is keep going. You just had to keep putting one foot in front of the other, and hoping that you'd eventually see the light and be able to get out of that situation. You know, and it has felt like you've been in this slow and steady ghostland place where you've been wanting to go, you've been wanting to take action, but you've not really known how to, with this confusion here. It could be self-deception in terms of like imposter syndrome here as well. But this is, you did keep going, you did keep picking yourself up, and it's making you very, very strong. The Wounded Warrior is one of my favourite cards in the deck, because even though it represents really difficult challenges and times in our life, it shows me somebody who has perseverance. They have the strength to keep going. They know how to pick themselves up when they fall down. So it's actually, this person's incredibly strong, I want to say. And you should value that about yourself if that's you. You know, you should value that you're still here after fighting a long battle. Could also talk about a health battle as well. You know, I feel like you're coming out the other side now, perhaps with the regeneration, this rebuilding energy. So it can talk about, again, with that military thing of like breaking someone down and building them back up. It also talks to me about somebody who's done the shadow work. So if you've had any kind of like addiction and you've been through some kind of rehabilitation program, they do, or even counselling and things like this, you know, the part of the process is this in a much softer way than the military would do it, right? In a much more gently guided way is, right, come on, let's have a look at what's behind this and what's behind that and what's behind that, until you eventually get back down to the core of who you are as a person and why you do the things you do, why you react a certain way in certain situations. And then you can go back and repair those moments. You can have discussions with your inner child, you know. You can imagine yourself back in that position a bit like Scrooge, you know, he goes back into the past and he observes the situation, and you can actually go as a kind of memory exercise. And I'm just wondering if Grandad's here. Hold on. No, it's okay, it's the neighbours. Yeah, you can go as a kind of memory exercise where you picture yourself as an adult back in that moment, witnessing whatever happened to you in a certain situation. And you can wait until, you know, you can go up to your childhood version of yourself in your imagination, and you can sit down and you can tell that child what you would have wanted to hear in that moment. You can be a spirit guide to yourself. So you can go and say to your childhood self, you know, what's happening, it's not your fault. You know, the adult is the one behaving badly in this situation, and you're going to grow up and you're going to realize that, and you're going to get better. You know, you can go and have those conversations with yourself and be the person that you needed in that moment for your inner child. And that's the kind of work that people do when they're doing the shadow work. With this kind of regeneration and building blocks and kind of rebuilding past memories and making them something that's not toxic anymore. You know, something that's comforting because you've accepted something, or you've forgiven yourself for something, or accepted something, or released guilt. And that it makes you make better decisions in the present moment, which of course will affect your future. Because if you're still making decisions based on those toxic moments on the past, you're going to repeat cycles, or you're going to avoid things that are actually going to be good for you because they raise red flags. Yeah, so it's about being kind to the child within, and almost guiding, like allowing your future self to guide you onto better paths as well, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Okay, what's next, please? What do we have next, please? Seven of Earth. So it is a process that takes time with the slow and steady energy. Again, they're kind of looking back at the past here. So this recovery from the past, the release of the toxic elements of our life, it's a slow process. It does take time and it does take effort, and it takes a lot of care as well. Now, if this is literally for anyone, you are literally gardening or planting something, you know, if it's literally like you're regenerating land, of course, things have a season, so it takes time for things to grow. You have to be patient, you know, you have to wait for the plant itself to grow. You have to wait for the bees and the insects to come back. You have to wait for those bees and insects to multiply, and then, you know, they are able to be the workers of that farm, and, you know, spread the seeds. And it's something that happens. It's a process. So whatever's happening for you, whether this is internal or external, it's a process. And, you know, this is a reason why you're going slow and steady. It makes it more successful. Rescue. Eight of Air. So somebody definitely does feel very, very trapped. I feel like we're back at the beginning here. It's almost like I've done the work and I'm still stuck. So what now? This Eight of Air, this trapped energy, it's the Eight of Swords. So normally it depicts a woman with a blindfold on and hands tied behind her back, and she's surrounded by swords. So she doesn't know how to move, because if she tries to feel her way out, she hits these swords. So she's scared. So it's this sense of, I'm trapped, my own thoughts are trapping me, I can't get out of this situation. But I feel like there is a spirit helper here. It's almost like this person's signaling, come up, don't, you know, you're going the wrong way, so follow me. You know, not literally, but spiritually ascend. So again, here it's like this person's stuck. I don't know if you can see her. She's stuck in this kind of cave. She doesn't know which way to turn. She's trapped. And rescue is coming. I feel like this is always her signaling, you know, I need help, sending those things up into the sky, come and help me. So this person's trying to follow the distress signal, but at the same time, they're kind of overlooking her. She's kind of hidden from this person. They're looking up here. She's down here in this cave. So it's almost like there's help coming, but it's slightly delayed, or it's there's some kind of miscommunication or something happening. And so the bird's nest and atoms. So I do feel like somebody is building for the future. Again, it's like they're collecting up these broken pieces of the past, things that have fallen apart, and they're rebuilding them in a way that's more authentic to themselves, right? They're not going to build a false I don't feel like the foundation's false, because the foundation to me is talking about like their authenticity, their soul, and that's strong from what I can see. So this strong foundation, this strong person who's got a lot of integrity, they really know who they are, they know right from wrong, I want to say, they know what they want from life. I think this person's very clear on what's inside at this point. So all that needs to be rebuilt really is the outside structure. Now, this could be this person's reputation. They may want to change their reputation somehow. But it could also be something about relocating or resettling, just because there's a few things here about movement. This is somebody moving with their shell, so somebody moving home. This person's time to go. There's movement here. Yeah. It feels like somebody wants to move, somebody wants to rebuild, or they can't move, so they're rebuilding their current environment in a way that suits them a lot better. But there's something here that's really safe. Also rebuilding the future for their own children, right? In a much more open way, where the children can choose who they want to be, and you're going to show them how to be who they want to be. We're very lucky as parents at this time, because you know, if you think about before the internet, all you really knew was what you were exposed to in your immediate environment, or you watched through maybe books or movies or films, which always felt like more of a fantasy. It was always something that you couldn't reach. Where now I think with Google, with the internet, you know, if somebody has something that feels like an impossible dream, it's easier to say, how do I do this? And Google's going to give you the answers. Where before it was like word of mouth, or maybe you'd have to go and research at the library. You know, it's a much more difficult process to get out of the bubble that you grew up in. Where now it's more like, oh, they look fun, I'm going to move there. How do I move there? Oh, Google it. You know, so it's easier for us now to be authentic. Thanks to that Aquarian energy that pushes technology forward. Right, okay, what else do we have, please? So it's how do we allow our children to be their authentic selves? The abundant universe will provide. I'm not going to read all of these. Act as if. Give with gratitude and grace. There is always enough. Take a time out. Slow and steady wins the race. You've had that twice now. So can I get one piece of advice, please? One card to guide this person, to help them get on. That is not one piece of advice, is it? Flamingo spirit, embrace the in-between. You see clearly now. Time for a deep dive. Claim your independence. I'm only going to take one card. So if you don't pick for me, I'm going to split the deck. One card, please, as advice for this person in how to get unstuck. Wolf spirit. Oh, 2 cards. Arse. Right. Just me calling my guys names. Watch your words. Watch your words. Okay, so that just says, don't call your guides arse. Sorry. Be careful what you say, because the things you say may be repeated, and they may be... Hey, so my video cut out, which is just funny. It's like, right, I got in trouble. Parrot spirit, watch your words. So this just says, this may be a time when, like with slow and steady, you may be on you know, not sure of your footing here, not sure perhaps who you can trust, which way to go, sussing people out around you. So this is, be careful what you say, because it can be used against you in the court of law, I'm hearing. Be careful what you say, because anything you say, it may be thrown back at you at some point. So make sure you say what you mean what you say. Say what you mean what you say. Don't go and throw our love away. This is not a love song, that's Madonna and Prince. But I think that was just telling me off. So let's go with wolf spirit. Turn knowledge into wisdom. 67. Wolf spirit leads you deep into the enchanted forest that holds the secrets to your life. Can you sense her beckoning you to follow, asking you to take all you have learned and all you are learning and make it yours? Can you integrate it all into your body, mind and spirit? Whatever lessons you learned along the way, do not leave them unexamined. Be loyal to your dreams, to your soul, and to turning knowledge into wisdom and experience into magic. You are the one you have been waiting for. Be still and know the sound of your heart beats in harmony with the whole world. The appearance of wolf spirit is an auspicious omen that says you are truly in alignment with your destiny. So there you go, you're on the right path. So take it slow, take it steady, one foot in front of the other. If that's what you've been doing, then I feel like that works for you. Definitely getting this kind of like, it's almost like as she's running away, these stars are falling. It almost feels like Cinderella running away from the ball, right? Like her dress is turning into rags, her pumpkin's turning, so her carriage is turning into a pumpkin. It's almost like this, things are falling away, things are falling off, right? It's almost like maybe like the spell wearing off or something. Do you see this? It's kind of, it is a feature of this deck. Sorry, my hair's really scruffy today. It feels like again, it's like a breaking away of this surface layer, like a reveal of what's underneath, the more authentic self. I can't help noticing all these little animals that are coming around, and she's got really a funny expression. It's like, if I just sit here really, really still, then these little birds are going to come and visit me. So that's talking about abundance, enjoying things, enjoying the fruits of your labour. And yeah, it's almost like as things fall away from you, as things get discarded by you, again, it's this energy of seeing something it's like one man's trash is another man's treasure, right? It's like as this person dropped things, as things fell away from this person and were discarded, it's almost like these stars became seeds, which became a new tree, which this person picked the fruits of. Do you see that? It's like, I'm trying to think of a good metaphor for it. It's almost like this person threw away an apple. It's funny, apple came through. That's there's a Tell Me Anything reading that's scheduled for next Saturday. Not next Saturday, the Saturday after. I get so far in advance. It's like somebody eating an apple and throwing away the apple core. And then, you know, the birds coming in and like, you know, the time and seasons doing the work. And the seeds getting buried in the ground and eventually becoming a new tree. And this other person comes along and picks up the apples. It's funny because I was talking about my dad, and my dad, he picks apples. He makes cider. So, yeah, something that seems useless by one person becoming something that's actually quite useful and abundant to somebody else. Like one man's trash is another man's treasure. So I want to say that if you're going through something that feels like chaos and conflict, if you feel like you're going to go into something and perhaps even cause a tower moment, right? There's going to be things that are discarded, things that fall apart as you go through this process. It's almost like let it happen, because even though from one person's perspective it looks like destruction and chaos, other people are going to benefit from the pieces that fall away from the whole. So it comes with that feeling of like everything happens for a reason. It's all part of the divine plan. You know, the tree falls so that other things can grow. So yeah, I hope that reading was helpful to you. Please do choose wisely, and yeah, make sure you're going for things. There's a message about when you're choosing, choose from the heart, choose things that have a story to you or some kind of authenticity. You know, they speak to your authenticity or from your authenticity, and not something that you think other people want you to choose. So don't pick something because you think it'll impress others. Like if you were going to go and buy a new jacket, right? And maybe there's a jacket and it looks like Indiana Jones's jacket, and maybe it's not that cool, but you're like, I'd feel cool in it. I'd feel like Indiana Jones if I wore that jacket. I'd feel like super cool. But you think, oh, you know, people will make fun of me for wearing that jacket. You know, other people won't like it. So you think, oh, I'll buy that trendy jacket with like that designer logo. I don't really like it. It doesn't really, you know, it doesn't feel like it's really me, but I know that it's going to impress like the people in the office. I know it's going to impress my friendship group, you know, to have that kind of like cool item. So don't buy something because it's cool and it's going to impress other people. Buy it because it's like it makes you feel cool, right? It makes you feel like more like yourself. Now it doesn't have to be that you're purchasing something, but again, it's like these funny messages about if you're choosing, choose from the heart, choose what speaks to your inner core. Don't be scared of change, because the change is going to benefit people in the future. As things fall away, other people are going to be able to make use of that, and also being able to see the potential in something that other people are discarding. So there's quite a few lessons in that reading, and I hope it was helpful to you. Do take care of yourselves, my lovelies. And as always, those of you who are leaving likes, subscribing, hitting the notification bell, leaving comments, sharing the video are all super duper helping me out. So for those of you who are doing that or who want to do that, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. Stealth watchers are always welcome, and those watch hours are really appreciated too. So thank you everybody who's stuck around with the video until this point. I will see you again soon. Have a lovely week and do take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.